Next on NBC 15 News, casting ballots. It's Super Tuesday and millions of Americans are at the polls right now. We have special election coverage for you. Also at 5, severe weather threat. At least 25 people were killed in Tennessee overnight. NBC 15 News at 5 is next.
Under a COVID weather alert tonight and Wednesday. Damaging winds, an isolated tornado, and flash flooding all possible. Tracking that next weather maker coming up.
Devastation in Nashville.
It sounded like gunshots going off. We heard the windows blowing in.
So we're running down the hallway. The ceiling is just caving in. Just debris everywhere.
The trail of destruction a monster tornado has left behind in downtown Music City. Making your vote count. Live team coverage from along the Gulf Coast tonight and what's at stake here in Alabama. NBC 15 News at 5 starts now.
Today is a code red weather day.
We began with a cold red alert. A severe weather threat could bring showers as you head to the polls tonight. NBC 15's meteorologist Kelly Foster is tracking the timeline for us right now. Kelly, when can we expect this weather maker?
Well, we are beginning to see some strong storms. Those will develop later tonight ahead of that front. And then that same front's going to get hung up across the area as a warm front for your Wednesday. We're going to have a low kick across the northern Gulf, and it's going to sling a ton of moisture our way. So this is kind of a multi-day event that we are tracking. Again, strong storms will ignite tonight. We could see an isolated storm or two, and then the threat will continue to increase for your Wednesday on into Wednesday night. We're under a level 2 threat of severe weather, so download our weather app. A level 1 threat for today as we head into your Wednesday, a level 2 threat for all the zones shaded in yellow as we track this next weather maker. So there's the front that's moving in tonight, getting hung up as a warm front for your Wednesday, and that low is going to track across the northern Gulf of Mexico and sling a ton of moisture our way. So we want you ready for it, and then we will begin to see high pressure building in. Here's a look at our storm tracker, and this shows the CAPE, or the energy that is available in the atmosphere, and you can see tomorrow morning for our coastal zones really getting active with a lot of energy there. So we're going to continue to watch for it. We want you ready. All you have to do is go to the App Store, type in NBC 15 weather. We're also under a flash flood watch all the way through Thursday morning because we could collect about 1 1/3 inches of rain from Mobile, and keep in mind these numbers could double where the front gets hung up. 1 inch for our inland zones, about 2.5 for Evergreen. In fact, areas right along Highway 84 could see up to 4 inches of rain with this. So again, we're watching all the models. With that second model, we are seeing more in the way of weather, but as you can see, everybody is under a flash flood watch, and the last thing we need locally is flash flooding, especially due to all the swollen rivers that we're dealing with and the river flood warning. We'll talk more about this next weather maker a little later in the show.
Chief Meteorologist Alan Seals is out tonight because he was called to help our sister station in Nashville, Tennessee with their coverage. Severe weather swept through that area overnight. Tornadoes ripped through the city, leaving at least 25 people dead. You're looking at some of the damage the storm left behind. More than 40 buildings collapsed in Nashville. NBC 15's Jay Gray reports on the latest.
The storms strike fast and in the dark of night.
There was no stopping that. It just came out of the sky.
Multiple twisters ripping across Tennessee. One tornado cutting a 10-mile path across Nashville.
Power lines down, like I was saying. That building's crushed.
First light provides a clear picture of the devastation, but the splintered wood and twisted metal scattered across Middle Tennessee doesn't reveal the biggest loss here.
It is heartbreaking. We have had loss of life all across the state.
More than 20 are dead, and there's concern as teams work through the rubble. That number could grow.
There are folks missing. We have deployed teams across the state in a search and rescue effort.
While survivors begin what will be a long and difficult recovery. President Trump promising help from the federal government.
FEMA is already on the ground, and I'll be going there on Friday. Our hearts are full of sorrow for the lives that were lost. It's a vicious thing, those tornadoes.
The wrath of the violent storms evident across Tennessee right now. Jay Gray, NBC 15 News.
Now is the perfect time to download our free NBC 15 News app. You can track storms on the go and receive instant alerts to your phone when disruptive weather is in our area. Just search WPMI WX in the app or Google Play stores and hit download. Again, Code Red Alert now through tomorrow night. Here at NBC 15, it is our exclusive way of letting you know when disruptive weather is coming to our area. Right now, millions of Americans are casting their ballots on this Super Tuesday. On the ballot here, presidential candidates, Alabama's U.S. Senate seat, and the race to fill Bradley Byrne's seat in the House of Representatives. We have team coverage tonight with live coverage from candidate headquarters from Mobile to Birmingham. We began with the Alabama U.S. Senate seat. Democrat Doug Jones is running unopposed. However, on the Republican side, there are several candidates vying for the seat. NBC 15's Andrea Ramey is in downtown Mobile at Jeff Sessions' headquarters. Andrea?
Yeah, Kim, we are at the Renaissance Riverview Plaza Hotel, where behind these closed doors, Jeff Sessions right now is practicing his speech. Media is not being allowed in right now, but this will be where we watch the returns tonight. Sessions in a very tight primary race tonight. The former Attorney General jumped in late into this race back in November. He is trying to reclaim the seat he gave up to be part of President Trump's cabinet. Of course, his falling out with the president has been well documented. Sessions voting this morning in Mobile, reminding voters what's also well documented is his leadership in the Senate on key issues.
I was not a potty plant before. I was a leader. I was the #1 voice in the United States Senate and maybe the House too in confronting the bogus amnesty immigration bills. They were given amnesty and would not have had enforcement. I've been the #1 voice attacking the Trans-Pacific Partnership, #1 in House and Senate. And President Trump, after he nominated, hammered that bill.
Now, just 6 years ago, Sessions made Alabama history running unopposed for the Senate, not just in the primary, but also in the general election. And tonight he is fighting for a spot in what will likely be a runoff. Kim?
Thank you. Now, our crews were there this morning as Bradley Byrne cast his vote as he attempts to win that Senate seat as well. Let's head to his campaign headquarters. That's where we find NBC 15's Corey Pippen. Corey?
Well, Kim's setup is done here inside Winsel's on Dolphin Street, and now we're just waiting for tonight's watch party to get underway. Check this out right here as Congressman Byrne's campaign staff is preparing for what is sure to be an exciting, busy night. Now, Byrne has not yet arrived. He voted in Daphne this morning, as you said, capping off a busy week traveling the state. Just yesterday, he was in North Alabama working to build support from voters. Now it's a campaign strategy he hopes will pay off to counter the name recognition of both Sessions and Tommy Tuberville. He feels confident in his chances, but would not be surprised by a runoff. Of course, these are the top presumed 3 candidates who will end up facing Democratic Senator Doug Jones in November if they win this election. Now we'll be here and continue to follow all the events and reaction throughout the evening. Back to you guys.
Corey, thank you. Continuing our team coverage tonight, Stephen Quinn with our sister station WBMA is outside of Auburn. He is live at Tommy Tuberville's headquarters tonight. Stephen?
Kim, Tommy Tuberville is a political newcomer, but many considered him a front runner in this race until the dynamics changed as Jeff Sessions returned to try to take back the seat he's held for 20 years. Tuberville is a newcomer, not a politician. It's something that he believes is a strength for his campaign, one, as I mentioned, where the dynamics have changed. I spoke to Tuberville's campaign just a few minutes ago. They believe that this is now a race to a runoff, a 3-person race between Tuberville, Sessions, and U.S. Congressman Bradley Byrne from Mobile. They believe that they will be one of the 2 that will be in that runoff that will be held on March 31st. There is some dynamics there. Keep in mind that these are candidates who are pushing to make sure they're one of those 2 that end up there, but they are also trying to conserve their assets to make sure that they're ready for the sprint that will follow after today if they are lucky enough to make that runoff. As for Tuberville, he voted earlier today in Auburn. I'm told that he had been making appearances on radio urging people to vote on this race, campaigning up until the very final moment of this election day. Meanwhile, he will be here outside of Auburn. The election campaign's party here starts at 7 o'clock. We're told he's not expected to make comments until 10 o'clock until they know the results of this election. I asked if he had a script or at least a speech that was ready. His campaign says no, he's going to take it off the cuff. This is, of course, a man who was made famous as the head coach of the Auburn football team here. He's used to being in front of cameras and is hoping he'll be smiling when he's in front of them today on election night. Reporting live outside of Auburn, Stephen Quinn reporting.
Stephen, thank you. Current Alabama Democratic Senator Doug Jones is running for his seat again. And again, he is running unopposed. Whoever wins the Republican nomination will battle Senator Jones for his seat on the November election. We continue our election night team coverage with the 1st Congressional District race, the seat Bradley Byrne currently holds. NBC 15's Lance Crawford is at Republican candidate Jerry Carl's election night headquarters downtown at Moe's Original Barbecue. Lance?
That's right, Kim. Here in just a few hours, Jerry Carl and his supporters will show up to hopefully celebrate a victory here in the primary. As you mentioned, Jerry Carl is running for the District 1 congressional seat formerly held by Bradley Byrne, who's now running for Senate. Now, Jerry has served on the Mobile County Commissioner Board since 2012. He is pro-life, pro-choice. He also wants to build a wall. He also says he is in favor of fewer taxes and better infrastructure. Plus, he is also looking to repeal and replace Obamacare. Of course, we still have a couple of hours before the polls close and they start counting the votes, and this place will fill up between now and then, and we'll have reports for you all night long. Kim, back to you.
All right, Lance, NBC 15's James Gordon continues our team coverage tonight. He's live at the Fairhope Civic Center where Republican candidate Bill Hightower is doing some last-minute campaigning. James?
Talk about some last-minute campaigning. Bill Hightower has been campaigning in the past couple hours in Baldwin County, right now at the Fairhope Civic Center. He's got our back to us right there, but some of his supporters are right out here. He's shaking hands, saying hello to folks. His wife, even his dog is with him. He's got a little vest on that says Bill Hightower for U.S. Congress. Again, a little bit about Bill Hightower. He's a former state senator here for the Mobile area, and now he's running for Congress. He also ran for governor back in 2018, and he is doing his best right now to garner those last-minute votes. We're 2 hours out from the polls closing. And just a tidbit of information, we talked to Baldwin County's probate judge, Harry Dolev, a few minutes ago, and he said that as of 4 o'clock, there's an 18% turnout in Baldwin County. He says that is fairly low compared to other elections. But then again, the night is still young, and of course, the polls close at 7, so we'll have to wait and see if those numbers increase a little bit now when folks start getting off of work and heading towards the polls. Again, Bill Hightower here in Fairhope. We'll be following him throughout the evening as well. For now, we're live in Fairhope. James Gordon, NBC 15 News.
Thank you. There are also 3 Democratic candidates on the ballot tonight for the congressional race. James Averhart, Kiani Gardner, and Rick Collins. One of the 3 candidates will need to receive 50% plus 1 of the votes to move to the general election. If no one reaches that number, there will be a runoff March 31st. NBC 15 is your election headquarters, and we will have team coverage on Decision 2020 all night. We will bring you election returns as soon as they come in, with results showing right at the bottom of your screen and on mynbc15.com. We will have special coverage starting at 7 o'clock tonight right here on NBC 15, along with live local election updates. Well, still to come, fire investigation. An early morning house fire in Pritchard may not be accidental. Crisis in the United States. The coronavirus death toll continues to rise. What officials are now doing to combat the deadly virus.
They call it Super Tuesday for a reason. More than 1/3 of all delegates up for grabs in this race on the line tonight. 14 states voting. I'm Scott Duman in Washington with all of the fast-moving developments.